Right now it just says vampire, but I'm gonna present my presentation or project through PowerPoint slides and based on how I did it through time. So I'm gonna start with the player itself. So we have the player controller script, the animator, circle collider, and all that. So for the circle collider, it it defines the collision boundary of the player. Kind of detects when the player bumps into enemies and so on. But in this game, I only have enemies. I don't have walls or pickups. And then it is the shape used by Unity to know where the player is for physics and triggers. And for the animator, it is to switch between idle and moving states. So right here we have the script. So here's the pause menu. When you pause, the entire game pauses, and with an upgrade, the game also pauses, like everything pauses. And then next we have the move input.x, move input.y, horizontal, vertical. These are the WASD arrow keys for player movement. And then we have the move input normalize. It keeps the player's movement speed the same in all directions. So kind of avoids the faster movement when you go diagonal. So it kind of removes that part. Next, we have the transform dot position plus equals move input times move speed times time delta time. This one changes the player's position every frame based on input and chosen speed. Next, we have the animation right here. So as previously stated, is moving true, is moving false. It switches between idle and moving state. And it just depends on when the player is actually moving. Right here we have the weapon itself, and in this case it rotates around the player. And again we have a circle collider, same purpose for the player as well. And the spin weapon script, it drives the rotation of the weapon, exposes rotate, speed, and holder in the inspector, so you can tweak rotation, speed, and set the pivot. So for me, I had set the speed to 200 and so on. And again, I have the pause menu, but otherwise, not the point here. We have the transform.rotation equals quaternion.euler 0f, 0f, and such. The uses for the quaternion Euler is to set the weapon's rotation each frame. Adds rotates speed times time dot delta time to increase the rotation angle smoothly, and then the rotation is calculated relatively to the holder, um, which makes the weapon spin around the player. Here we have the enemy damager, and again we have the circle collider on trigger, and then next we have the float, or like the public float damage amount right here. So it sets how much health is taken from the enemy on each hit. A tunable thing to do in the inspector for easy balancing as well. And then for the private void on trigger, enter 2D. So the main point for this one right here, it runs when the weapon's collider overlaps an enemy's collider. It checks that the collided object is the enemy as well. And then calls the enemies take damage amount, and such. And then it reduces the enemy's health. The Yeah, and then next it's we have the melee sound dot play, but right now it's not. I will explain it later because I did that at the very ending, but you have that right there. This one was quite of a long script right here, but again, we have the circle collider, we have the player health controller assigned, and then we have the audio source. I'm gonna explain that again a little later. And as you can see, the player health bar just halfway through, right? So if you press the upgrade, it just goes back to normal. And but that's what I have done so far. And then with the health canvas, here you could simply adjust everything on your own. For me, I adjusted quite plain, but with a red, like with a red color to assign the health with a background that is black, just to, have some sort of difference. So with the health variable right here, we have the public float, current health, public slider, health slider, and this one stores the player health value, and it holds a reference to the UI slider to update it whenever health does change. And then for the public void, take damage, and so on. And we have the start coroutine as well. So this whole thing, it reduces current health when player is hit by enemy and updates the health slider in the UI. If the health drops to 0 or below, the game is over. That's it. With a private eye enumerator as well, delayed game over and such. At the very bottom, right here, it's the main point. It's to wait briefly so death effects can play. So I have a little later as well. And next, after once you die, it loads the game over scene after the delay. This is the upgrade manager itself. A singleton setup, public static, upgrade manager, instance, get private set. And then we have the private void awake instance equals this. This one ensures there is only one upgrade manager, and it makes it easy to access from another script. And then we have the upgrade menu, which is show upgrade menu, and it shows the menu when the player levels up, and it pauses the game or it disables everything while the menu itself is active. Next, we have the spawning upgrade button. Upgrade in chosen. So this is me making my button, making the icon with the name and description itself, and so forth. Anyway, dynamically creates button for the available upgrade, and then each button displays the upgrade's name and so forth, and applies that upgrade when you click it. So you got boots, health, and weapon. And increase speed, increase health, increase speed with the weapon and boots, to be more specific. And then, as you can see, I have in the inspector, I have assigned the upgrade background with the upgrade background in the inspector, and next with the spinning the spin weapon itself and the upgrade layout and the prefab and such. So applying the chosen upgrade, choose upgrade here. So the main point of it all is that upgrades affect actual gameplay stats, more health, faster movement, faster spinning weapon, all of that. So you have increase amount 1.5, increase amount 50, increase amount of 100 for the weapon and such. And then once you close the upgrade menu, it restores certain things, player control. That's it. We have the camera controller. The camera controller assigned to the main camera in the inspector. And then private transform target, void start target equals find object of type, player controller. Look for the player controller. Self-explanatory. And for the void late update, transform dot position, target position X, Y, Z. Overall, this one allows the camera or the camera's position to always be equal to the player's position. So previously seen in the videos from the other slides, when you move the player is always at the center. Now we move on to the enemies. This is the first type enemy, which is the skeleton. And again, we have the circle collider, the rigid body, the box collider, and the script. So with the circle collider, defines the enemy's hitbox with a radius of 0.3. This one keeps it fairly small and close to the sprite's center. With a rigid body, of course, makes the enemies respond to the unity's physics. And set to dynamic, and then drag the gravity to 0 or set it to 0, because if it's not, it will keep falling. So if it's set to 1, it's gonna go and fall. Next we have the box collider, often used alongside the circle collider to cover a more rectangular area. This could be more for more accurate hit section around the body. Next we have the animation. Next we have the enemy controller and the script. So with the move speed, you could set it depending to your liking. For me it's 1 and the damage is 7.5 and so forth. On the script right here, we have the target equals player health controller dot instance dot transform. This one finds the player and stores its position. And with the movement at the very bottom, the RB dot velocity target dot position. This one moves the enemy directly towards the player. Now we have the zombie right here. Again, you have the circle collider, the rigid body, and you have the script. So the only difference with the zombie controller is that it has a special behavior when the player is looking at the zombie itself. So if you run away, it follows you, but if you run towards it, it stops. But it is similar, or half of the script is similar to the skeleton script. And here, of course, the vector3 player input, vector3 input dot axis raw horizontal, vertical, and as you can see I used the dot product. This one allows to check if the player is moving towards or away from the zombie. So the whole point here is that you face the zombie stops, you move away from it, it follows you. Next, we have the enemy spawner. Right now it just says enemy spawner for the skeleton, but I have enemy spawner 1 and 2 on the video. So the second spawner is for the skeleton itself. So we have time to spawn, it's 0.5, and the enemy to spawn is a prefab of the skeleton. So I have the prefab of the zombie as well. And then looking at the code right here, spawn counter. Um, this one allows the enemy to spawn at regular intervals and adjusted by multipliers. And then we go to the next stage, which is right here. You have the min spawn and the max spawn. You get to choose your positions as to where you want them to spawn. So for me, I chose both top left and right and bottom left and right corners of the scene itself. We also have the wave progression, the entire thing here. So I'm have spoken about the spawning. This one belongs to the spawning, but this one belongs to the progression. And for me, I call it a wave progression. So every after 10 levels, the wave gets higher. So we have a multiplier right there. So in the inspector, the number changes as well. So with each wave ramp up the difficulty while rewarding the player more. So even if there's more EXP with killing the enemies, the more you go up by level, it will be difficult to just level up faster. And here we have the main menu, and you got the buttons and everything. And this is what I did with the on click. It's like if you get to choose this and that, it will lead you here and there and stuff like that. But if you press play, it goes to the game itself. But if you press options and such, it's gonna go to the option menu and you'll see everything there. And so with the public void play game, scene manager dot load scene, this one loads the next scene. And for the public void quit game, it's simply stated as it is, the application will quit. But the on click, the whole purpose of it is to make the menu interactive. So I did the same thing for the pause menu. The same process, I used the on click to make the pause menu interactive as well. So public void pause on the script, it is like it just toggles between gameplay and pause mode, and it shows or hides the pause UI again. And you have the resume, you have the restart, you have the option and quit. If you press option, it goes to option and stuff like that. You could change the volume or even toggle with full screen or VSync. Here we have the pausing or the pause state or pause menu. And especially with my script or my line here, this one, it stops the movement, the spawning, and everything. So I have it in all the scripts that I have right here. You have it in the upgrade manager, you have it in the spin weapon, you have it in the player controller. And you have it with the animation, and you have it with the zombie and skeleton controller as well. So when you enter a pause state or even an upgrade state, everything just pauses. Next, we are moving towards the final part, which is the juice. Here we have the main menu, and with the audio source that I've made, I had assigned track 5, and down below with the volume and stuff, I also assign the volume within the volume inside options in the main menu. And then this is how it sounds. Here we have the gameplay music and the level up sound. So for the audio source for the gameplay music, I have it on track 8 and it's on play on awake so that the moment you start the game, it plays directly. And it's set on loop so that it just continuously play throughout the game until you do die and you enter a game over scene with a different background music. And we have the EXP manager with the level up sound, level up assigned. I have it in the hierarchy for the audio source. And I had to do this so I can organize a little bit for myself to know and to separate which is which. And the only time you do hear it is when you have killed a certain amount, and you should not have it on play on awake, otherwise you will hear it the moment the game does play, and you wouldn't want it on loop because it's just gonna sound so repetitive and annoying. So so that's how it sounds. Here we have the death sound while we have the death effect, which is the particle system. But mainly the point here is the audio source for the when the player dies. So I'll play it just like that. The sound is, you could hear it for the player. Next we have the player attack sound. I chose melee one, which is one of the other, there are other sound effects as well, but this is what I chose, and just like everything else, you get to set it in your own preferences when it comes to the volume, pitch, and stuff like that. Again, don't play on awake, don't play on loop. Yeah. This one here focuses on the death sound of the enemies. So it's kind of the same for both of them when they do die. And I have it assigned here and here. And I believe I may have put it in one of the, I had put it on source audio. So I could control its volume on a different on the hierarchy, sorry. Next we have the hit, which is when the skeleton hits the player and the zombie does hit the player as well. They both have their own sound effect as well, so it's different. Last but not least, we have the particle system. Right here I have the looping unchecked with a duration of 2 seconds, and the play on awake is checked, and right here it's kind of automatically like untouchable. And then I have the start color here that I've adjusted myself, so I kind of relied on the zombie and skeleton colors so that when they do die, their death effect is resembles them a little bit. And then here we have the emission, the shape, size over lifetime, collision, and renderer. So with the emission itself, it kind of controls how many particles are spawned and when they spawn. With the shape, it defines where the particles appear and in what pattern they're emitted. And for the size over a lifetime, it kind of controls how the particle size do change as it exists. And for the collision, it allows the particles to interact with other objects in the scene. And then we have the renderer. Um, it controls how the particles look visually. And I simply just chose default line. That's it. Nothing much. But that's the end. Thank you for being at the very end.